Hello and happy 2023. We're still a couple hours away, but I am excited for everything that this year is going to bring. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sticking through this year. It's been a wild one. It feels like it's gone by in like 5 seconds and also 17 years at the same time. So we are in month 4, I think, of our Cymbeline production, and we're at auditions. This is my absolute favorite thing to do and talk about. And I mean, I've talked about audition monologues before and how much I love those and helping people with those. So getting to hold my own auditions it's like my favorite thing. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go through our audition form. I'm going to go through our like casting breakdown, the way that I do that, kind of talk through the reason that I put everything on the form that I do. And yeah, that's this month. So this is auditions are a lot of work because I want to make sure they're right. I want to do as much of the work for actors as possible rather than putting a lot of the work on them. So I'm going to talk about kind of what that looks like in a moment. Yeah. All right. So this is our kind of overall description to get all of the information out there. Hero is definitely going to bark through this because it is New Year's Eve and there are a lot of fireworks. So apologies in advance if you can hear him. All right, so this is all of the information. It's so important, especially with this format of a one rehearsal show, that I get everything out there as clearly as possible. I've already been through, I submitted the audition to a Texas website, an Austin theater website, and I was talking back and forth with the lady who runs that. And she was like, okay, I think, I've got all the information I need. And then like 5 minutes later, she emailed back and she was like, wait a minute. Is this a full one? You're only doing one rehearsal for a full show, not just a reading? And I was like, yep. And she was like, please let me meet you for coffee and talk about this because it is a format that like needs some explaining and it needs, it was so crazy when we did it the first time and it worked so well. And then it worked so well the second time. I thought maybe we had gotten lucky with Much Ado because me and the girl playing Hero and the girl playing Ursula had all already done the show together before in those roles. So there were those 3 main roles that were already cast in a repeat. I pretty much already knew the script from the 9 years ago that we had done it. And then of course I was playing Beatrice opposite Mike. So we could sit there and run lines. Like we weren't living together at the time. I was still in Denver and he was in Austin, but we could run lines together. And so I was like, that has to be the reason that this was successful. But then the next year when we did Merry Wives, we had never done Merry Wives before. Nobody knew Merry Wives. Everyone was new. We had a bunch of new people, and still, it was incredible. This format just works, and I can't explain it. I'm nervous to bring it to a new place. I'm gonna have a lot of different people, but I'm so confident in the format that like I'm excited for it. I've also got like I was talking about last time, the line learning kind of resource that I'm building through Zoom, recordings and editing out so that everyone has their own track muted, plus a full line through. I'm just I don't know. I'm so excited for it to finally start happening. That's the biggest thing, is that our space is booked and we are ready to go. So trying to get the info across in the audition form. So dates right off the bat. If you're not around for both all day the 27th and all day the 28th, we need 2 days. That's it. So if you can't be there for both of those days, sorry. And then really like putting in this second paragraph that everything's going to be done through Google Sheets. We're going to have one full cast read on Zoom. Get that line learning resource noted here, 2 additional check-ins over Zoom, an email, and then you can get together with other people, but there will be no other scheduled formal rehearsals. So if I could, actually, can I build this? Hey, great. Just as a little bit of a highlight there. So fully memorized and blocked performance, not a stage reading. I did add this line after that lady had emailed me back because I was nervous that it wasn't clear. And clearly it wasn't. So it's always great to kind of put things out there, see what response you get. You know, I can run things by my circle as much as possible, but they know what the show is. So it was so cool to have her feedback. So I added this line just to make it extra clear. So it's not for everyone. I need that to be also clear because it isn't. Some folks don't do well without rehearsals, and that's okay. It's stressful. But you know, we will offer all the support that we can. The main goal is to have this be a fun whirlwind weekend of Shakespeare. That's the most important thing, is that I want people to know that the pressure is not there to have a Tony Award-winning performance. The pressure is there to have fun and be part of a community and put on a fun show. So this is an unpaid production. Travel expenses will be the responsibility of the actor. Also important to note in anything. Do I wish that I could pay actors? Absolutely. Whenever I start Walking Shadow as a, you know, full, real nonprofit, we'll have that conversation later. When we can actually have funding and any money coming in that isn't this Patreon. It's just putting together a 20-person show. Right now, it's not possible. And I absolutely respect actors who can't take unpaid work. Yes, good. Get that money. But it's just important to be clear up front with that. Actors of all races, gender identity, sizes, abilities, and ages to audition. The best thing about Shakespeare is that a lot of people have, this isn't the best thing, but a lot of people have preconceived ideas of what roles should look like in their minds, and they're all wrong because there is no right for roles, you know, especially in a show like Cymbeline, where you've got a role like Imogen, who does dress as a boy. A lot of people have this perfect body type in their mind when they think about a role like that. And it is my number one goal to smash all of those expectations, because if there's an actor who can play the heck out of this role, it doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter anything about them besides their acting. And my favorite thing about Shakespeare is that you can do that. You can do whatever you want because there are no rules. So this is a chance to go outside the box and shatter people's expectations of, or preconceived notions about what Shakespeare bodies look like. No to that. So we've got character descriptions up on the website. Just I didn't want to cloud up the form even more because there's a lot on here already, and this isn't super pertinent unless you want to know. So really, really vague, really kind of one sentence, just kind of relationship, a little bit about their personalities, really just kind of giving a general overview, because a lot of people aren't going to know this show. And that's kind of exciting, because when you're doing Romeo and Juliet, everybody wants to play Juliet, or everybody wants to play Lady Macbeth and Macbeth. And when you have a show that more people don't know, it's more fun to kind of get people's expectations out of the way and open it up to maybe find something that they wouldn't have thought they would want to play before, but they're really, you know, bamf at. So character descriptions. And then for the actual audition, so if you've gotten this far and you're still interested in auditioning, here's what you've got to do. Complete the form. Whoop. Submit a video audition containing 2 contrasting monologues. At least one has to be from Cymbeline, and we have provided some options here. I'll get to those later. In the virtual process, we want to see as much range as you have to offer. So deadline, notified of callbacks through email before January 20th, email if there are any questions. And then right off the bat, the role of Iachimo has already been cast. So Mike is going to be playing Iachimo. Here's the thing about precasting. Everyone does it. Most people do it. Most people have an idea in their minds of who they want to see in certain roles. But then they go through auditions as like this charade. And that's just a waste of everyone's time. So if you are in a space where you are truly open to any interpretation of that role, you are truly open to casting it based on who walks in the door, that's incredible. If you are not, just don't lie about it. right? So like I'm so excited for casting this show because I have no idea. I know a lot of the people auditioning, but like I can't in my mind without seeing videos, which is why I'm asking for a piece from Cymbeline. I just have no idea how the casting of this show is going to go, and it's so exciting. But I do know that for a character like Yakumo, who is a real skis bag and requires, one of the things about this play is that it's all about redemption. Everyone in this play is redeemed except for the queen and Cloten, but their punishment comes in death. So they don't need to be redeemed because they're not around at the end. But every single other person has an apology and redemption. And you need someone who does what Yakumo does, who can feel truly sorry. He has to be charming. He has to be a little like exciting. He has to be so many different things, and something that I know Mike is going to knock out of the park. And so we're just wrapping it up and calling it a day. On the form, clear as day. Anyone but Yakumo. Email, name, pronouns, accessibility needs, familiarity, experience with Shakespeare. One thing like this that I always want to do on forms is I don't want people to have to make a resume if they don't have one, because their past experience isn't super important to me. I do like knowing their general familiarity with Shakespeare. And if, for me, it might be easier to explain my familiarity with Shakespeare through the resume that I have. But if someone's new, like we had someone submit a form that was like, I've done a bunch of online classes on verse and iambic pentameter, but I've never acted in a Shakespeare play. And that gives me a lot of information. So this person doesn't need to submit a resume, because I don't, it's fun to see what roles people have done, but it's not necessary. So giving them the option of not having to submit a resume, but being able to submit a resume, I think is helpful. Are you available? And then this question is really hard. So this show requires a lot of trust that when I ask people, how good are you at learning lines, they are going to be honest with me. It is in their hands whether this show works or not. It's on them, and I can't see their progress. I can't make them learn lines. I can't be in their heads. I will only know how true their answer to this question is when they show up on Saturday the 27th. We'll see. So super important for them to be honest, but you never know. So we've got just like top skill, little nervous, but we'll work hard. They'll probably struggle, but if you give me a smaller line count, I'll be able to handle it. And then this is one of my favorite things about Cymbeline. I have the Arden edition, and there's the scene with when Posthumus first gets to Philario's house and meets up with Yakumo. Then there's the Frenchman there, and in the stage directions it says a Dutchman and a Spaniard, but they don't have any lines through the whole scene. And so one of the footnotes, as I was reading through it, one of the footnotes says that they were depicted as drunk past the power of speech is not beyond Jacobean possibility. And it just made me laugh so much. And some people just want to be involved, and they don't really want the responsibility of memorizing lines on their own. They just want to hang out and have a fun weekend. So if you want to come in and be our Dutchman, or our, sit in this scene and be hanging out, boys club drinking, like that's great. Yes, please. So that's that's that. Singing an instrument, there are some places that we can put music in this show that I would really like to. Just one of those things that, like, if we have it, we have it. If we don't, we don't. We'll make whatever work based on the people that we have. Special skills, I like leaving that open, just to see if there's anything that anyone's going to bring to the table that, they're excited about. Gives me ideas, helps them feel featured and special. Love that. And then this question, I don't like always when you just kind of have like, what role do you want in this show? Because a lot of times people are going to look at line count and pick the biggest one and say that's the one that they want because that has the most lines. And sometimes, sometimes you want to be Hamlet and you click Hamlet, but other times you're limiting yourself from other roles that are fun and interesting and good because you're kind of like blinded by lines. So the option that I have for this question is you can put, if you're familiar with Cymbeline or you've looked at this character breakdown and you're like, oh, I want to, this looks nice. Oh, I don't want to be doing unnecessary murder. Cool. You can put that. You can put a role from Cymbeline, but also let's say that Viola is your dream role in Shakespeare. If you put Viola here, that's the role that you're interested in, the type of role that you're interested in, it gives me a lot of information for what you might like to do in Cymbeline. I know this play inside out, backwards, forwards. So if you say, oh, I want to play Richard II, I can say, interesting. I think you might be right for this character in Cymbeline. And then also just general types that you're drawn to. I want to play a villain. I want to play a clown. I want to play a romantic lead. Just gives me more information than just saying I want to play Imogen. Also important to reinforce that we get to do whatever we want with these characters. So do whatever you pick, whatever you want. This is really important too to me. If you prefer to play a character that shares your pronouns or a character of any pronouns, just because I want to make people as comfortable as possible in the roles that they're in, noting that we can alter the text because Shakespeare's dead and we can do whatever we want. So it's always a good question. Anything else, just in case there's anything that I, didn't ask that you want to say, you can add it there. So those are all the major questions out of the way. And then this is the monologue options. So I like to, like I said at the very beginning, I want to make this as easy on actors as possible, but part of that to me is limiting the number of times we have to ask them to do things. So my goal for this show is to not really need callbacks. I want to see everything that I need to know in your initial audition. Then maybe if I need to see a specific character read, then I can ask for a video on that. But I'm going to kind of do rolling callbacks on those because I really want to button this up. Mike and I are going on our honeymoon on February 4th. So I'm getting this cast before then, giving people a couple of weeks to sit with the script, coming back and getting rolling. So for the video submission, I want them to do 2 contrasting monologues, around or under a minute each. Anything longer than that is so unnecessary. You really just don't need to know. We did one of my favorite audition moments of all time when we auditioned for Macbeth. We had this guy come. Was it? No, it was Henry V. It's Henry V that we were auditioning for. And this guy comes in and he pulls over a chair and he sits backwards on the chair and he starts this speech. And it went on for 5 full minutes. Now, this guy is amazing. He is one of my favorite people to work with. He was super talented, very funny, just a great guy. But I knew that in one. I knew that in one of his minutes. And then it just kept going. And we were like, okay, all right. And I kind of get it for like a show like Henry V where everyone talks forever, showing you can handle that amount of text. But since this is video and you could be reading off the screen anyway, just give me a minute. If we need to see more, we'll ask for more. So I want them to do a monologue from Cymbeline because I think it's important that they have some bit of a character in the show that I can kind of start to see. Like I said, I'm trying to eliminate callbacks. So if they're drawn to Imogen, I want to see you do one of the big speeches. I want to see how you've worked that, how you've prepared it. Likely Cymbeline is going to not be a show that a lot of these folks have pulled an audition piece from before. Obviously this is for me. This is my go-to when I need something dramatic. I always do this Imogen piece, but I'm also a weirdo. So, that's me. So I want at least to see one piece from the show that they've worked on and, kind of see how something new sits with them. So I've got 2 contrasting pieces for Imogen. Excuse me. And this one is giddy. This one is very sad, I guess. We've got a couple pieces for the Queen. Now, this is something that usually pieces that I pull for monologues can be used for a bunch of different characters. This, if someone reads the heck out of this and I can see them as posthumous because of it, I probably will. If someone reads this and I can see them as posthumous because of it, a lot of Imogen and posthumous is emotional resonance is very similar. So because I don't have like real vision of who I want these characters to be as actors, I get to use this information and expand on that to other places in the show. So for the Queen, this could also work for Lucius. It could also work for Cymbeline. It's just a really strong speech. This could also work for First Gentleman, and First Lord, I think, is the other character that kind of parallels that. The senators. You've got this kind of image, this stately image that can work for a bunch of other different characters. This is very, very specific to the Queen, because it's very much like, I'm not evil. I promise I'm not like most stepmothers. I'm a cool stepmom. But it's just a really fun piece. So it'd be fun to see someone do. We've got Posthumus's anger and frustration. And I chose this speech after he finds out that Imogen has been unfaithful to him, because it is a third beat to these two options up here. So it is like we've got that triangle of emotions as options. Cloten, the speech is really fun to me. I love and hate her it's so good. He's so silly and stupid. This can also work for Second Lord. Second Lord has a lot of asides, and it's really that kind of like looking at the audience like, I'm confused about this, and also like I have a lot of big feelings. So it could work for that as well. Excuse me. We've got Belarius. Pretty straightforward. This can be used for, this can be used for Arviragus and Guiderius as well, because it has that kind of calm, flary, good-natured, comforting appeal. This could also be used for Pisanio, just general nature of it. And then we've got Cymbeline. I had to cobble this together because Cymbeline doesn't really have any long speeches, but this encapsulates his rage so well that I think it would be fun to look at. It could also be used for Cloten when he gets really angry. It could be used, like, if you read it in a kind of different way, it could be used for Pisanio. Just a lot of options of what you can do with it rather than just straight up anger. So it's kind of a fun piece. First Gentleman, just to give a sense of narrative structure. This is really the Benvolio or Horatio monologue. Like, here's everything that's happened, let me tell you. And this lets me see their storytelling ability. Then we've got the Jailer. I never want to ask for only verse. I want to give options for prose as well, just because sometimes it sits easier with people and I want to see them comfortable rather than forcing them into something that isn't as comfortable for them right off the bat. So this is the Jailer speech. It's really funny. It's fun. Yeah, that's it. So these are the pieces that I picked. But if we had someone submit a piece today, and they did, I See a Man's Life as the Tedious One from Imogen. So if you've got a monologue from Cymbeline that you're comfortable with already, yes, love it, do it. Just want to see something from Cymbeline. The other piece, whatever you want. Early modern, let's go. Again, I say early modern, doesn't have to be just Shakespeare, can be anything from the time, doesn't have to be verse or prose. It can be whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with. You want to do a sonnet, go for it. I want to make it as easy for me, as easy for them to show me contrast and as much of their acting range as possible. So as long as the pieces are showing different pieces of yourself, I don't know. We're at that point today. So just let me know what you're submitting. Two different speeches. That's the audition form. It's not super long. Yeah, they've got 20 days. 21 days, I think, so 3 full weeks to do this. And I just think it's a comprehensive but not overwhelming way to submit an audition. Hopefully, that's the goal. And then, this is one of my other favorite things to do. So when I went through the text after I edited it again, I had a scene chart that I wanted to do because I just wanted to kind of see how things were balanced across the board. I've got number of speeches, number of lines, because it's important for me to know how to split that up. I'm going to go through again. I'm going to do some trimming, probably as much from here as possible. 400 lines is a lot of lines to learn on your own. So we're going to see how we can kind of make that a little easier on our actor playing Imogen as possible. And then Yakumo as well. Then we've got our, I don't want to call it like, I get ensemble tracks, because we're going to pair these up a couple at a time. So one of the thing, like, let's find a good example. I guess, yeah. All of the ghosts, basically only one scene. They've got a lot of lines. It's like a big part, but only showing up once in the show. And then we have some who only drop in at the beginning, like Filario. Where is he? He's really only in the beginning. And I want to make sure people have enough to do throughout the show that they're feeling part of it all. Now, I am going to add a lot of people in a lot of different places. The first gentleman, second gentleman, first lord, second lord will be in pretty much every scene that's in Cymbeline's court. Everyone's going to be in the last scene except those who are dead. It's just a chance to get everyone on stage as much as possible, even if they're not speaking. So I went through and I did some bundling of parts. So Cornelius, the doctor, really, really fun part. First senator. So you can see this actor will be in the beginning, kind of the middle, and the end all the way through. And it adds up to like a really hefty part. First gentleman has a ton of lines. So having the first gentleman pretty consistently through the show, but then coming in, we've got to double up all of these ghosts because there are 7 of them or whatever. In that one scene, 6, I don't know, and 5. Numbers are hard. So first lord, second jailer, second lord, and jailer. This I'm really excited about because I think that the second lord and the jailer, I'm going to have played as the same character. Same with the first lord and second jailer, because they're lords of Cymbeline's court. It just makes sense that they're part of the guard system as well. And second lord has all of those asides to the audience, and I think that having the jailer as that part as well will be really in line with the way that that character has been through the whole show. So this one I'm really, really excited about. First senator and Filario, Cecilius and Frenchman, second gentleman, second brother, Helen and mother. I love Helen as a role because she's in so many scenes, has 1 or 2 lines maybe each. So for an actor who's maybe concerned about learning lines, this would be a perfect role in the whole show, always there, just not a high line count. So it kind of makes it an option for someone who's either new or less confident in line learning, gives them a little bit, not throwing 400 lines at them. So yeah, I've got a cast of 19. All of these can be split back into, I mean, 86 lines is a ton of lines. I can make Cornelius his own character, their own character. They would be in 2 scenes. We'll just see how it works with the people that we have show up. You know, I don't know how many people are gonna audition. I have 0 idea. We could have 10. And then what I'll do in that case is we'll triple these up. We'll bundle them super tight and they'll be very busy through the whole show. But we'll see. So that's it. That's it for me. I appreciate you. Thank you for making, this show possible. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for supporting everything that I'm doing with Shakespeare. It means a lot and I love having you here. So stay tuned. January is going to be awesome because it's going to be casting. So that'll be our casting video and you will probably have a full cast before anyone else does because I'll be so excited. I'll just want to share it here. Happy New Year. Thank you for everything and we'll see you